Hello, my name is Jimmy and this is the 2023 Kia Sportage plug-in hybrid. More specifically, the Canadian spec EX Premium plug-in hybrid. So it's not the top SX trim and it's not the base EX, but you can't get an EX in a plug-in hybrid, only in the regular hybrid. So let's tell you everything that you need to know, starting with the looks. On the front end, you got the distinctive Sportage treatment with the LED daytime running lamps and LED headlamps. But these are not the projector headlamps that you get on the SX trim, as this is the EX Premium. You only get the reflectors as well as the incandescent turn signals. On the side, I do get 19-inch wheels as standard, blacked out window surrounds. It's actually quite an aggressive look on the side, and you do get proximity door locks on the front doors, so you can lock your front doors here, but unfortunately you don't get that option on the rear, so that is definitely a missed opportunity. But because it is a plug-in hybrid variant, it's symmetrical on both sides, as you get a fuel door on this side and the charge door on the other. And then around back we get the sporty lip spoiler on the top that does have the integrated rear wiper underneath, Kia badging, and LED tail lamps. But these are combination tail lamps, as well the turn signals are incandescent. I mean, overall it's a pretty smart looking SUV. Unlike some other countries here, you get a shorter version, and you can tell that with, well, the window that's here on the rear quarter. Here in Canada we only get the extended, and it's actually quite large, and you see that inside. At 39.6 cubic feet, it's actually quite a bit of space, and if you need to put a stroller in here or even a set of golf clubs, well, you can fit both in here with ease. Plenty of space for all your needs. Yes, there is a little bit of underfloor storage, but it's really best for just the cables. Unlike the standard hybrid variant where you can actually lower the floor down a little bit and have some additional space, because it does have, well, some of the charging components beneath, you can't do that here. And no, there's no spare tire. But what's nice is you can fold the rear seats down 60-40 with these latches on the side, making it, well, just quite a bit easier to put whatever you need within the cabin. But let's check out those rear seats. All right, the back seats. I mean, I'm 5'11" and I got plenty of headroom. Legroom is also really, really good. And if I want to, I can have the seat lean back a little bit more as well. I mean, in terms of amenities, it's not bad. I got my USB charge points on the front seats here, so that's nice and handy. You do get some grocery hook hangers as well. It's not bad. And this panoramic sunroof lets in plenty of light within the cabin. And my kid, well, he absolutely loves it. He always says, open and shut with the curtain that's on here. It's just a really good cabin space. And, you know, speaking of kids, if you are going to be planning to put kids inside your Sportage, well, I am a child passenger safety technician here in Canada, and I was able to put in this collect lane here on the driver's side. No problems at all, plenty of space within the cabin. And on the passenger side, here's a collect foot, a rear-facing child seat here. No problems. Once again, plenty of space within the cabin for that. In terms of lower anchors, there's one set on the driver's side and another set on the passenger side. Both are pretty easy to get access to. And in terms of upper anchors, there's 3 across the rear bench. What I do like is, well, just how easy it is to fit seats in here, as the doors, they don't open a full 90 degrees, but they are quite wide in terms of their opening. But what I don't like is just this middle seat belt placement. Because it's integrated more towards the passenger side here, there's just an overlap. And because of that, depending on your child seat, you might not be able to get, well, a person in the middle if you had a passenger, or if you had a child seat on the passenger side. So that might become a problem depending on the child seat itself. But let's move up to the front seats. All right, the front seats of the Sportage. As said, I'm 5'11", and headroom and legroom is both really, really good. The seat adjustment is actually quite good in terms of height, so I'm able to really, well, just get the driving position that I like. And the seats here, even though it's not the top SX trim, I do get heated and cooled seats, which is just fantastic depending on your weather. I mean, no matter the weather really, because no matter if it's hot or cold, you should be pretty comfortable in here. And I do get lumbar adjustments as well. In front, I do have a heated steering wheel. It's quite nice, and you get your typical Kia buttons that's on it, pretty normal. And behind that, you do get, well, a sort of a full digital dash, but it's not like a full screen. You get a screen in the center, but on the sides, it's just, well, segment displays. It's a little different. Because it's not the top SX trim, you don't get the full digital cluster that's in here. But I don't mind it. It actually looks fine. it's sort of like a retro-y kind of look to it. Kind of fits more like the Ioniq 5, if anything. But, I mean, it's very legible, so I have no issues with it. The only thing is, like, because it's a plug-in hybrid, it shows me my tach on the right. And, well, because it's a plug-in hybrid, a lot of times the engine isn't running. It just shows me a 0 there. So it's kind of a useless gauge, more or less of the time. Don't get a heads-up display, and that's totally fine, but you do get a really nice 12.3-inch infotainment screen here. It's a widescreen infotainment that's used in a lot of Kia and Hyundai products. Works really well. It has all the things that you need, CarPlay as well as Android Auto, but you do have to plug it in. No wireless option there. The only thing is, well, the climate control. This is the thing that Kia is going with. We saw this on the EV6 as well, and it's just been a frustrating experience. But what I've come to, well, grown a little bit with it is keep it on the climate control, and then it's not that bad. And the reason is, I mean, yes, you have your volume control as well as some of your channel stations that's here. And most of the times, if you're going between like your CarPlay and your radio and whatnot, you can use the screen for that rather than using this, well, touch panel on the bottom, because you still have to look down. And it's just easier to look at the screen rather than down here. So you're better off just leaving that on the climate control, so you don't have to worry about like flipping it back and forth between your climate control and your radio. So that's something, but definitely not the best in terms of its, well, usability. Overall, the interior, I mean, it's a nice place to be, other than this really high gloss plastic right here in the center. That's gonna get scratched up over time. I mean, even here in this, well, loaner, it's already pretty bad, and this vehicle only has 5,000 kilometers on it. So this is going to get scratched up, but I'm sure you can get PPF for it and, well, make it nice and pretty if you want it to. But it's a nice cabin. It really is. You got all the luxury touch points that you really need. I mean, leather on the steering wheel as well as, well, synthetic leather on the seats. But it's good. It's everything that you expect out of a Kia product. The only thing that I just wish it did a little bit better was just here in the middle. This is a hard plastic, which I just don't like because my knee rests here a lot of the time, and it's just not the most comfortable thing. But before we go for our drive, let's talk about the powertrain a little bit. This being the plug-in hybrid variant, we still get the 1.6 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. But unlike the regular hybrid, I get a more powerful motor here with a combined power of 261 horsepower and 258 pound-feet of torque. That electric motor itself makes 89.7 horsepower and 224 pound-feet of torque. So for that 55 kilometer or 34 miles of range, it's not the quickest of vehicles. But honestly, it's fine. Because with more than 200 pound-feet of torque, it's more than sufficient to get you up and running. Sure, that 89.7 horsepower is definitely not a strong suit. I honestly think it's fine, because when you do need more power, just, well, floor it, and then the engine will fire right up, making 261 horsepower. And that is plenty fine for getting up to speed, highway speeds, passing, or anything else that you normally wouldn't do in kind of this day-to-day 55 kilometer range plug-in hybrid state that you get in the middle. So perfectly adequate. The only thing I would complain about is, well, the engine actually fires up more often than you think, because unlike some other plug-in hybrids where it can warm up the cabin and cool down the cabin, this can't. Well, at least one of those from my testing anyways. I mean, it's been like 7 degrees Celsius here in Canada, so it's quite cold. Okay, not as cold as some other places, but quite cold. And because of that, well, I've been turning on the heat. And when I do, the engine fires up to like 1300 RPM. And when it does do that, well, you just get this constant engine drone because it's at 1300 RPM all the way through. It doesn't matter what you're doing, accelerating or stopped, it's just constant RPM. And it's a little droney because of that engine note. But it needs that to warm up the cabin. And once it does, the engine turns right off, and it's basically able to keep what it needs to do from just the electrical powertrain itself. So most of the time, it's pretty quiet. but there's some wind noise. I found that because it is a plug-in hybrid and I'm, well, driving on the pure EV quite a bit, I'm hearing a lot more wind noise than I would in a standard vehicle, because when the engine turns off, you don't get that white noise. And there's just a lot more wind noise than I want around the windows. I mean, it's not like it's air coming in, it's just wind noise. I don't know exactly where it's from, but I hear it on the left side here, and it's a little annoying. What also is a little annoying is just how soft the suspension is. Sure, some might actually like that, and some might actually praise it for that, but it just makes the vehicle, well, less enjoyable. Because it's so soft, it just feels very, very cushy. And because of that, well, going over bigger bumps, the vehicle just feels unsettled. It just feels like it's bouncing and jostling around quite a bit more than you might really want your vehicle to be. And it just reduces that dynamics that the vehicle has. I mean, sure, it's a family vehicle, it's a family hauler. Not that many people that's in this segment is going to be looking for that enjoyment factor. And if you are, you're probably shopping for the CX-5 or even that new CR-V, which is quite good. But neither of those have a plug-in hybrid option. This makes a really good case for itself. And with all the safety equipment that you get, it's actually not too bad. Sure, this isn't the top SX trim. Yes, you have to pay a little bit more for the 360 camera and the blind spot view monitoring. I don't think you really need those things though. And that's the basis of the Sportage. You can't go wrong with this. It's such a great product through and through. You get everything that you really need. Sure, it might not have the range of the Outlander or the RAV4 Prime, but you're not paying that kind of money. This is, well, just a better option in general. If you're shopping for this, the only other competitor I would say that's very close to this is probably the Tucson, as, well, it's a sister car. And I mean, it really comes down to looks. If you're, if you like the look of the Tucson, get the Tucson. If you like the look of the Sportage, get this. In any case, thank you so much for watching this video. Like the video if you do. Subscribe if you want to see more. And we'll catch you next time. Take care.